Hey, how's it going, guys? Jack and Matt here with the Toasty Bros, and today us tech experts are going to tell you how to speed up your gaming PC, and this video is brought to you by Nvidia.
Nvidia was nice enough to sponsor a video where we're basically just going to educate you about one of their features, Nvidia Reflex, that reduces latency in games, basically giving you better overall performance. And yeah, they were nice enough to sponsor this video so we could tell you some other stuff as well. But before we teach you other ways that you can speed up your gaming PC, here are some things you should know about Nvidia Reflex. First off, it's free and supported by a lot of popular games on the market like Fortnite, Overwatch, and Valorant, and improves your overall system latency, making it easier to land those flick shots in game. Good performance in games isn't just about FPS numbers. Latency is a very important thing to consider, and we'll touch more on this later in the video. So big thanks again to Nvidia for sponsoring this video. Let's go ahead and dive into some other tips and then talk more about that system latency that can be improved by using Nvidia Reflex. But later in the video, we'll be diving into this hardware right here and showing you how you can reduce your latency in games and overall just be better at video games. Be better than this guy, you know? It's not that hard really, to be honest. Fortnite. But yeah, so thanks again to Nvidia for sponsoring this video. Let's just go ahead and dive into some of the other tips.
So step number one is actually really simple. This goes for Windows 7, Windows 8, Windows 10, Windows 11. All you have to do is type in startup in the search bar at the bottom, and it may be a little bit different depending on the operating system, but long story short, you're trying to limit the startup app. You have a lot of things that open as soon as you get into Windows. Every time you restart your PC, turn it off from being off. Of course, all these programs are opening at once, and a lot of people don't realize it, especially people who aren't into gaming or computers. I'll see 50 apps popping up as they start, and it's incredibly slow. Not only does that cause a long startup, but if those apps stay up and you're not using them in the background, you're going to be losing FPS, you're going to be losing performance because your RAM's being eaten up, your CPU's being eaten up. And so rather than giving 100% of everything to your games, you're giving up performance that you really don't need to be giving up because it's random programs. Yeah, just type in startup, go to those apps, close things like Outlook, close things like OneDrive if you don't use them. Like, don't make them start up at all, because if you don't use OneDrive, why do you even have it starting up? It's a pretty intensive program that you don't even sign into, and it still uses resources. Those are just some examples, but there's a lot of programs I know people do not need.
Now the next one is a little bit experimental, so proceed with caution. We're talking about XMP and just general overclocking. So XMP is a feature that allows you to overclock your RAM. So let's say you buy a kit of 3600 DDR4 memory, and when you put that in your system, it's not gonna be running at 3600 megahertz because that 3600 megahertz advertised speed is a rating. It can go up to 3600 megahertz with an XMP overclock. So what you need to do if you built your brand new gaming PC and you're like, I'm not getting the full RAM speed and want to try it, you need to go into your BIOS, whether it's delete F12, look up your motherboard manual if you can't get into your BIOS, and then you need to enable XMP. It can also be called DOCP on Asus motherboards, and it'll allow you to overclock your RAM into its rated speed, and that should give you extra performance. But the warning we have to give you is sometimes you're not going to have good stability. So if you start getting things like blue screens, random lockups, some just random things happening in your Windows user experience, then you most likely want to disable XMP, because honestly, there are performance gains by doing it, but it's not worth the cons of constant crashing or issues. So yeah, if you don't want to deal with any headaches, don't worry about enabling XMP. But if you have a PC right now and you're looking to get some free performance without any upgrade and you haven't even enabled XMP before, definitely give it a try. And one other thing you can do, which is mainly a tip for laptops, but there is some benefit with desktops, is increasing your Windows power plan, which all you gotta do is go to your battery settings or your performance settings within Windows, and then you can set high performance. Yes, in theory, this is gonna pull more power, so if you don't really care about like your electricity bill or anything like that, just getting a slight noticeable bump in performance, then definitely enable that, because if it's on like eco mode or low power or just like the default setting, you're not fully getting all the performance you can from your system. Another thing that you can do that's very simple to do, and this works on older PCs and high-end gaming PCs, is deleting those temp files. All you gotta do is open up CMD by going to the little Windows icon at the bottom left corner, type in CMD, and then you're going to type in %temp%, and it'll open up a basically plethora of temp files that build up from applications that you have or just things in Windows. They take up a lot of space sometimes, especially if you've had a Windows install for multiple years. So what you're going to want to do is clear out that folder, and you will get a warning sign if for some reason that temp file is still in use. So you can leave those alone. Just make sure you don't check yes on that, because you might delete some temp files that are actually useful right now within like some programs like Premiere or whatever. But it'll allow you to save some free space. You could save a gig or two here and there if your hard drive or SSD is filling up, and it can just give you some better performance, not having junk in the background.
Now another step, and this is actually one of my favorite steps, and it's gonna sound really freaking nerdy, so be prepared. So you're going to launch CMD command prompt as admin. You have to do it as an admin. This works for Windows 7, Windows 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, like all the Windows that don't even exist. You're going to type in sfc space/scan now, and that is going to basically just go through all of the Windows files. And I don't mean like your video files, your pictures, I mean like the deep-rooted Windows files, and it is going to find any corrupted or outdated files and actually replace them. So you do need to have internet for this, but it'll literally pull those files from Windows off the internet. It's super crazy, and it'll tell you. So it usually takes anywhere from 4 to 30 minutes. It has a percentage where it shows how far it's going, and it'll say, you know, no files found, you're good to go, or it'll say, you know, files that were broken were found, it is now replacing them, it'll replace them. And you'd be surprised how many blue screens and how many customers we have helped by using that simple command. So now for the parts that were sent over from Nvidia and Asus, of course, we have the ROG Strix G35CZ, and that of course is this beautiful pre-built. So we have a vertically mounted RTX 3080, and that thing just looks absolutely amazing. The fans don't even run when this thing's at idle, so it's very, very quiet. And of course, that is a 10 gig GDDR6 card. We have a liquid cooled i9 10900KF, which yeah, has a lot of cores, a lot of threads, definitely more than enough. It also has a 1 terabyte hyperdrive PCIe NVMe and a 1 terabyte 7200 RPM hard drive for all of your extra games, 32 gigs of 3200 megahertz DDR4 RAM, Windows 10 Pro ready to go. So yeah, I mean, overall, this system is just looking absolutely amazing. It's going to perform really any way you want. I mean, you could run 4K in pretty much any game.
Now, the real magic here is how we're gonna showcase Nvidia Reflex, which is a little check mark in a lot of your favorite titles that allows you to lower the latency of the games that you're playing. And we're using this beautiful Asus monitor, the PG279QM. It's a 1440p 240 Hz monitor with the built-in reflex analyzer, which is very simple to do. All you need to do is get a supported mouse, which you can see right here. We have this Asus mouse, it's nice and beautiful, and plug it in directly to the monitor, and then you can get the ability to test the latency in your games using the reflex analyzer that's built in. So what we did is we ran some tests in some games to show you that if you're running like a game like Fortnite, let's say you're doing ray tracing, let's say you're doing all max settings, when you're running a lot of high settings in these games, you're going to inherently develop some latency, and it's gonna limit your response time and basically not make you as good of a gamer. While gaming, I was able to notice an improvement in my ability to aim precisely without any sort of latency that tends to come from running games on higher settings with things like ray tracing and stuff. I'm not willing to give up that beautiful visual quality just for better performance. I want my games to look really good while I'm playing it, and when you are running those higher settings, you're gonna have some sluggish experiences, like your mouse is gonna feel sluggy, not super snappy and responsive, but Nvidia Reflex does a good job at allowing me to get the best of both worlds, being able to run my game at high quality and low latency, and making me feel much more competitive in games. So if you are not enabling the reflex settings with an Nvidia GPU, you're losing out on that competitive edge that you could have. So what you see right here are some numbers showing with or without reflex running on higher settings in these games, and it does make a pretty decent difference. And once again, the whole topic of this video, it's a free feature. If you have an Nvidia graphics card, no problem whatsoever, enable it in your favorite titles. I know Fortnite's one, Overwatch is one, Valorant is one. There's a lot of esports games that really take advantage of this feature, and you can easily do it by just, well, setting it up within the game and you're good to go. And if you want to get really nerdy with it, like we do here at the Toasty Bros, you can get a monitor that allows you to test it, plug everything up, use the USB pass-through that does not have any latency whatsoever, and you can actually get real-time numbers to see the difference for yourself.
So once again, big thanks to Nvidia for helping us out, and big thanks to the Asus ROG Strix lineup as well for getting all of this stuff, including that mouse over there, sent over to us. We really appreciate you guys watching today's video. If you liked it, check out our other 2 YouTube channels and also our twitch.tv/toastybros, and do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe.
And we'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.
And if you can't get enough of the Toasty Bros over on YouTube and Twitch, we also have an Instagram, we have a Facebook, we have a Twitter, we also have a deal page on Twitter where we post all kinds of insane deals. We even have TikTok, and we do pretty well over there.
Check out all our social medias in the description down below. Follow and don't miss out on that awesome content. See you guys later. Goodbye.
Peace out.